Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for coming. We have another intriguing story to offer today. So let's begin. Lucas here, telling you how I learned the hard way that the person you love may take you for granted until it's too late. I met Sophie in our early 20s. I remember being inseparable and being one of those couples others believed were made for each other. We had effortless love, late night drives, intense chats, two people lost in each other. Our wedding felt right. We had big dreams, traveling, living together, possibly having children. Everything was fine for a while. However, life happens. Building my business from scratch required long hours and sacrifice. Sophie was my top priority no matter how busy. I surprised her, went on date nights, or just talked after a hard day. I always showed her she mattered. At first, she liked it. She encouraged me and was my biggest fan. But she changed gradually. It started with small complaints about wanting more me time and needing to focus on herself. Honestly, I backed that. We all need room to grow. But suddenly it changed. She discussed prioritizing herself. I believed she meant self-care like working out, reading more, and doing what made her happy. That wasn't her intent. Without respect to our marriage, she meant doing whatever she wanted. She gave up. Our intentions didn't interest her. She scarcely inquired about my day. She still wanted me to treat her like the most important person in the world. She desired marital advantages without being a wife. At first, I thought it was just a hard patch. Every marriage has ups and downs, right? So I did what any loving husband would. Strived harder. I avoided conflict whenever possible. Before venting, I attempt to talk about it. However, if it escalates, I will swallow it rather than argue. I surprised her with flowers, perfume, and even that expensive purse she had been coveting for months. Anything to show her I cared and was here. But nothing changed. She thanked me occasionally without feeling. No enthusiasm, no appreciation, just a half-hearted smile before moving on. Usually her phone. I heard her say she needed room to find herself. It was initially unquestioned. Maybe she's figuring things out, I thought, so I gave her her requested room. I stopped pulling her in. I gave her more nights out and let her do what she needed. But months later, it doesn't help. She grew increasingly self-absorbed, like she was the main character in a story and I was simply a supporting character there to serve her. Not to please her, she pretended she deserved better and was settling for me. Honestly, that hurt. The woman I fell in love with kept moving away because she thought she could do better. Loving someone who doesn't value you confuses you. You doubt yourself, wondering if they're correct. You might not be good enough. Perhaps you're the issue. I stared at the ceiling for nights trying to figure out what changed. I did what wrong? I stopped being enough for her when I knew the truth deep inside. No matter how much I loved her, I couldn't help a stubborn person. I wasn't sure how long I could lie. Then one night altered everything. I waited up for hours, staring at the clock and listening to traffic outside. Sophie had come home late before, but this night was different. After hearing the door open, I inhaled to calm down. Unwilling to argue, I was too tired to fight again. With a stumble, she entered. The smell of alcohol hit me before I looked at her. She threw her suitcase on the couch and took off her shoes without looking at me. Sophie, do you realize what you're doing? I swallowed my wrath. Not just arriving home late. You push me away, have been patient, but you're not acting married. She rolled her eyes like I said the most absurd thing. She grinned lazily and giggled. Please, she scoffed. You think I need you? Are you truly so special? Many males want me. If you go, I'll replace you tomorrow. I felt my chest tighten but didn't show it. She continued. She straightened. I'm done following your rules. No more following others' rules. You and society won't tell me how to live my life. This is my baby girl phase. Lucas, either accept it or not. The end. It was then I knew. I lost her. Maybe she lost me. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I didn't ask her to understand. The point? She knew who she wanted to be. Not the woman I married. So I did the last thing. I'll let her live her life and leave. I found and called the top divorce lawyer in town the next morning. I wasn't interested in prolonging or complicating her existence. A blank slate was all I wanted. Legal proceedings were swift, since we had no kids and I didn't want to quarrel over furnishings or bank accounts. We settled quickly. I didn't care about fairness. I wanted out. I skipped the final meeting. So I let my lawyer handle everything. After signing the documents, I kept my word. I vanished. No calls. No text. Avoid long emotive messages. Just gone. She wasn't concerned at first. She seemed relieved. She believed this was her chance to start again and be free. I saw hints on social media. Images showing her partying with pals, drinking and celebrating like a champ. Her captions were about new beginnings and self-worth. She seems to have moved on without a second thought. Right away, she started dating again. Naturally, several men wanted to entertain her. Now things were different. She wasn't the prize she expected. She gained attention, but not the type she wanted. The men chasing her wanted fun, not commitment. Who were ready for something serious? These dudes weren't her type. Though I didn't see it. I heard. She quickly dated other men. Never staying together. They left one by one. The attention she once craved became meaningless. The confidence she previously displayed began to crumble. It was her first time alone. Not by choice or for self-discovery, but because she had rejected her only true love. How did I know? Remember, our common friends still talk to her. As for me, not looking back, my divorce left me with a decision. I could have entered another relationship to fill the hole. Meaningless flings, distractions, and transitory highs could have drowned me. But I knew that wasn't the answer or what I desired. I had lost myself in an unseen marriage for too long. Time to pick me. So I did. I focused on my business to rebuild. I focused on strengthening and developing what I had built. Not simply work anymore. It showed me I was capable and had a purpose beyond being a husband. Results came slowly. My business grew above my expectations. I felt in charge of my life again for the first time in so long. While doing so, I concentrated on my physical and emotional wellness. To feel powerful again, I went to the gym. I started eating better, sleeping better, and taking care of myself after years of neglect. I understood that some individuals may never appreciate your generosity. I refused to accept anything less than meaningful. I wasn't going to let loneliness make me return to familiarity or pursue unhealthy relationships. I learned to be alone without loneliness. My comfort in my own company was a long time coming. My growth was gradual. That was my biggest win. It had been years since I saw Sophie. I was running errands and picking up some items from a department store when it happened. I turned a corner and saw her. Sophie stood a few steps away with a shopping bag, staring at me like she saw a ghost. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked fine. Her looks was always maintained. Her gaze scanned me. Lucas. Finally speaking. She sounded uncertain. Nodding. I smiled. Hi Sophie. Long time. She laughed nervously, tucking a hair behind her ear. You look different. I shrugged. Yes, life's good. She asked questions to keep the conversation going. How are you? You been doing what? I replied lightly, never giving her too much. I wasn't harsh, but I didn't satisfy her. I had no notion her thoughts. She grinned uncertainly after a few more small conversation minutes. Could we meet up? I grinned back. Sure, maybe. That phase of my life was over. Therefore I knew we wouldn't. She reached out days following that incident. A simple, hey, it was nice seeing you the other day, text started it. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I paused. I reacted against my better judgment. The talk gradually picked up. Small chat. Nothing deep or emotional. Nostalgia fills the wrath and resentment gaps. In the following weeks, we texted sometimes. Her strange messages reminded her of me. I couldn't deny it despite everything. The feelings persisted. Loving someone doesn't end overnight. I realized love wasn't enough. The trust, it was gone. She recommended we meet for supper and discuss one night. Part of me wanted to agree. Be honest. I was tempted. But then I stopped and asked myself a question I had avoided all along. The point? Was I searching for what? An apology? Some explanation? A chance to fix what was irreparable? No. I knew it deep inside. I needed no closure from her. Giving myself it was necessary. So I declined. Neither bitter nor angry. I don't like that idea. A long period passed before I realized I was broken. I didn't want to accept it. But Sophie had hurt me more than I thought. Not just because she departed, but how she made me feel first. Unworthy. Replaceable. Like I was never enough. At first, I thought I was alright. I worked out, focused on my business, and made friends. No matter how hard I tried to ignore it. This weight in my chest wouldn't leave. If I didn't deal with it, it would permeate my life. So I did something unexpected. I saw a therapist. It was strange at first. I was sitting there telling a stranger everything I had buried for years. Week by week, I saw things more clearly. I wasn't dumb for loving Sophie. I wasn't weak for saving my marriage. I was a man who loved the wrong person. That wasn't my fault. A lesson I needed to learn. It took time to heal. Suddenly feeling free wasn't the point. Small moments mattered. Sophie and I burned all bridges. Stop texting. Forget small conversation. No more what ifs. I ended my relationship with her. I sent one last message before deleting her number. Not mad. Not spiteful. The truth. I wish you well. I used to think you could only move on from a hurtful person by getting revenge. To demonstrate that they lost something valuable. I realized something along the road. Energy is wasted on revenge. The best revenge isn't always revenge. Just move on. Be your best. And let them watch. I did that. Friends. Today's narrative concludes. Comment what you think. Ever been in this situation? You handled it how? If you like this, like, comment, and subscribe for more real life stories.